Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to talk to you today about a recent read that I just finished. It's called Don't Tell a Soul by Kirsten Miller. And this is a new release. It's just been out for, I think, about a month at the time of recording this video. And honestly, I haven't heard anything about this book, which is really strange because this is a YA thriller. And I know there's so many booktubers that, you know, concentrate on the YA genre, especially with thrillers and fantasy. And honestly, I haven't heard anything about it, so I wanted to give you my thoughts on this book, especially considering it's a new release and you can decide for yourself if you would like to go pick it up. So this book follows a young girl named Brom, and she leaves her home and her mother to go live with her uncle, who lives in a really secluded little town in New York. And he lives in an old mansion that he actually purchased with the intentions of turning it into an inn. But there was a tragic fire and his wife ended up being killed in the fire that was allegedly set by her daughter that also lived with them. And the daughter afterward was in a mental institution because everybody thought she was completely unstable, and that's why she set the house on fire. So of course, this being a really small town, when Brom arrives, she's kind of the outsider and everyone is sort of wary of her. I don't know if any of you have ever had experiences with living or spending an extended period of time in a small town, but they're all alike. If you're an outsider and you're not kind of linked to anybody, it's really awkward, and Brom is totally feeling this. And she's, you know, people are kind of whispering and snickering while she's walking around. And she soon learns that the mansion that her uncle is living in also has a really dark past between the young girl who was the daughter of the man who built the house, but also there's been other girls who have died mysterious deaths either within the house or on the grounds. So Brom starts to kind of dig into all of this past and figure out what's going on. And as she's digging into the mystery, it's uncovering more and more sinister things. And eventually it totally envelops her, and her own life turns out to be in danger as she's digging further and further into this mystery. So besides this book having a mystery that has to do with the house, Brom is also experiencing kind of a haunting aspect within the house. She wakes up during the night and things in her room have been moved around, or she wakes up and there's somebody standing in her doorway. And she does find out that the spirit of one of the young girls who died in the house is supposedly haunting the house and the land, and Brom thinks that it's this young girl's spirit. So between the mystery and the haunting and the small town with lots of secrets, and on top of that, Brom is starting to experience, when she starts to meet people, you don't really know who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. So as the story is going along, you know, she thinks that this person is trying to help her out and is a good person, and then she meets someone else who is saying, no, don't trust that person, and then this person is saying, don't trust that person. And there's a lot going on. So this story is really complex, but what I really enjoyed, number one, with it being so complex, at no point was I ever bored reading it. The story was so well written, and the mystery and the haunting and these, you know, these people that are in the town and Brom's not really sure what to do. It was all intertwined and it flowed really well. I was never confused, even though it has so many plots going on and subplots. I was never ever confused. It was written really well. Like I said, it flowed. I was never bored. The pacing of this book reminded me a lot of Truly Devious, if you've ever read Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson, which I just finished the entire series last year, and I really enjoyed it. It was so good. I gave that series a full 5 stars, and the pacing of this book really reminds me of that there's, you know, constantly something happening. There's tons of twists and turns, and just as you're thinking that, you know, the story is going in this direction and okay, this is what's happening, it completely takes another turn and things just keep building on top of each other. So the whole thing was really multi-layered. Like I said, it was fast-paced. It was, you know, at no point was it boring. And by the time I got to the last few chapters and the mystery started really coming together, I don't think I blinked during the entire last section of the book. It was really, really, really good, and I was totally sucked in. So besides the plot, I found that the characters were really, really well written. The story of Brom is really multi-dimensional. So once you figure out what's starting to happen with Brom, kind of the optics from the other characters in her hometown is that, you know, a situation happened and she was the perpetrator and she had to go away. But as the story starts to unravel, you figure out that it was something completely different. And when that happened, I really, really felt for Brom, especially if you're anyone who's experienced the same sort of situation. So I found her character was written really, really well. But also the other characters in the story, like I said, you weren't really sure who to trust, and you know, person A is talking about person B and person B is talking about person C, and all of them have, you know, these buried sort of situations that they went through, and you know, their characters just keep building and building and building as the story goes along. So the characters were really well written. The plots, all of the plots were well developed, and it was just one of those stories where I was like, you know, this is really unique. It's not like anything I had ever read before, and it's nothing like mind-blowing or anything like that, but it was just a well put together book, and I enjoyed it from cover to cover. And what I really, really enjoyed, and I don't know if this is going to be a spoiler or anything, but with YA, we all know I've had a little bit of trouble with YA because it seems like they're mainly romance books with like other plots going on. But this book stayed away from all of that. It stayed, you know, on the plot. It's exactly what I was expecting when I was, you know, reading the synopsis of the book. It was a fast-paced thriller mystery, and it was just really, really good. So if you're into YA, thrillers, mysteries, that sort of thing, especially if you've read books like Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson, I think you're really going to enjoy this book. For me, I'm giving it a full 5 stars. It was the best book I've read so far in 2021. I know it's only February, but I thought this book really ticked all of the boxes when you're looking for something that's just a really fast-paced, nice thriller. So I totally recommend you picking up this book. So there you guys go. That is my full review of Don't Tell a Soul by Kirsten Miller. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below, because you know I love chatting with you guys. But until next time, stay spooky, everybody. Bye.